Can you hear me? Yeah, I need to move it a little bit, I think. So I'm Nico Girard, founder and CEO of Oxio. As Sal was saying, we've been actually building quietly for about 5 years now. Myself, I'm a telecom entrepreneur. Here you go. We're, been in the industry for about 25 years. Built a team of experts to build this. Our CTO literally built the wireless network at Verizon. Our CEO built Google Fi, which is, you might know, the telecom offering from Google. And we've been sort of like the weird duck in the portfolio of a lot of those crypto investors for about 5 years because we don't have a token. We're not talking about crypto. We haven't really talked about the blockchain, but we've been building very quietly and kind of want to give you a preview of what it's going to look like. So primarily, like the mission from Oxio, from the get-go, the idea was to say there's a ton of opportunity for tokenization and decentralization in crypto and telecom. But it's also one of those industries where if you're not creating a commercial business that's sound underlying business drivers, it's just going to be really hard to kind of start bringing all the incentives together. And one of our goals was really to start building a large business before we actually tokenize it. So to kind of give you an idea, the high level what we're doing, the mission is really to really make crypto as easy to use as using Stripe for financial services or Shopify for digital stores. If you've been in telecom, you can probably understand why that's such a tall order in this industry. But generally, the idea is like there's two trends in telecom. We'll buy our sort of services from the Verizon and the AT&T or the Helium, right, which kind of resell T-Mobile. But the idea is that the market is really shifting towards two things. One is it really a need to go buy from Verizon, or can I get my experience from telecom, say from WhatsApp directly, or from Amazon, or one of those companies, or want to buy my phone from Apple? And if so, how do you make that happen, right? Because the way wireless networks have been built so far is a company like Verizon invests hundreds of billions of dollars to build a network nationwide, and then basically sell access to the retail customers. So there's no network per se that you can sell to or build to for an Amazon, right? So what we're doing is exactly that, right? That's an Amazon experience here. It's not available in this country, but the idea is that now you're Amazon shopper, you're Walmart shopper, you're using WhatsApp all the time. They are able to craft and bring their own wireless experience as part of their product, very similarly to Stripe, in a way where it can be global, built on open APIs, and really meant to be personalized by those company without really having to understand all of the telecom. As a result, what it's doing, it's driving usage more towards wholesale, right? So if you take a wireless network like Verizon today, primarily when they spend $100 billion on upgrading it to 5G, they know that they're going to have 100 million customers buying every month for a certain price for over the next 10 years, right? Once you start getting more into the backdoor wholesale, how do I, kind of let others leverage my towers that I've built, then there's no really an idea of demand for those guys, right? It's up to guys like us, it's up to guys like Comcast or Google to basically build an offering and start putting traffic on this network. But generally, this is where the industry is going, is less towards I'm building a network, I'm Verizon, I'm building it for myself and my customers, I'm building a network that's going to be open and others are going to tap into it. So to kind of illustrate and put some numbers, it's already a pretty big business today. It's about $300 billion worldwide. It's going to triple over the next 10 years, 10 years. And this is where we're leveraging as Oxio. So the so what is, the best way to think about us is we're a global carrier network that's meant to be white label for others to build on top of. So the analogy that we use sometimes is AWS, right, for compute, sort of Oxio for telecom. We are entirely asset light. We don't touch anything physical. So a lot of, I've been a big fan of Helium since day one. They are focused on building physical infrastructure. We come right behind that. We use the tower, the physical infrastructure of others, and then we built a global network, as you can see here, that's built for cloud scale. It runs in the cloud. It's all SaaS native by nature and all powered by AI. And then locally, what we do is we connect to the towers of AT&T, Verizon, Helium, and anything available. as I was just saying, like, so that's sort of the byproduct of the work we've done over the last few years. We work with guys like Verizon and Telcel and AT&T already on a global basis, and then we have enabled experiences across, example of a customer here. Mercado Libre is the Amazon of LATAM. Televisa is a big sort of Comcast for Hispanics. Uber and Rappi, Walmart. And the idea was, for this thing to be big, it's like it cannot just be built for like crypto users. It cannot be built cannot bring the incentives together by giving people free credits or free token. Is you need to make sure the network are incentivized to work with you, and you're going to make sure that those guys on the Walmart and Apple side see value in working with you, right? And then from there, you can start decentralizing and optimizing. But this is basically the stage we're in today, where we're in control of hundreds of millions of dollars of transaction on wireless networks, which allows us to have a really good base for decentralization. Funny enough, a lot of those users, they have no idea there's crypto behind it. If you are in Mexico today and you have a Mercado Libre app, you can get your telephone plan from them. It will show, like we see in the Verizon, you have 20 gigs of data on your plan. Little did they know that actually that 20 gig is represented by a token behind it, that there's a data trading platform that will buy access to the Telcel towers or the Altán towers, AT&T towers. And then basically we've been building this for 5 years, training it sort of privately within our ecosystem. And this is where we're at this point. So the big so what is, comparison here is that tower capacity is idle. So if you look, I have Verizon SIM here as well. Most of the network that Verizon has built is empty at this point. So 80% excess capacity across the country. And so similar to what Airbnb, Uber, and Dashboard have been doing is how do we monetize and optimize usage on this idle capacity. And that's a little bit of what we're doing here. And we're talking also about big numbers. As much as I love helium, I've always been a guy that has been saying, it's like, look, there's been trillions of dollars of infrastructure spent. That's not going to go anywhere. And so you kind of need to make both sides kind of work together. And we see it even outside of the DePIN movement, right? A lot of satellite-based networks are coming online as well. So if you think about infrastructure in general, in the future is really a combination of cellular networks, like the guys Verizon and others are building. It's private network that a university might have with private 5G, might be helium, might be a whole bunch of like a project like that, and satellites. And so how do you kind of stitch together the best infrastructure to eventually bring that to an Amazon user on the other side? So as I was saying, like there are about $500 billion of value shift today that's going to move from the retail world of telecom, which is about $2 trillion, to the wholesale side of telecom. And this is where the opportunity lies to really profit from it by decentralizing telecom. So at a high level, this is where we're looking at here. In a typical world, like 5-6 years ago when we started the company, we wrote the white paper. We started doing a lot of tests around like a token, the trading platform, and all of this. But at some point, you have a choice to make. Either you're launching something and you got to find a way of building both the supply and demand together, which typically in telecom has been hard, right? If you're seeing the first iteration of Helium on LoRa, incentivizing the build out of the supply was very successful. Getting the demand, getting people to actually use the network and put traffic on it so you can monetize a lot harder. So in our case, we really came to the conclusion that what needs to happen is that guys like Walmart and Amazon, they need to have a reason to participate in this ecosystem that's beyond the economics and the tokenization behind it. So that's what we're bringing today. We have visibility, like I was saying, about $500 million of transaction over the next 18 months. But the whole idea here is that the ecosystem exists outside of tokenization. The issue, though, is that, as I was saying, most of the wireless networks are empty. Wireless operators have been spending hundreds of billions of dollars on it. It's an asset that's not traded because there's no digital instrument to pay wireless. So the first thing is, how do you represent wireless capacity, right, so that it can be traded? Second, why would the AT&T and the Verizon want to participate here is because you're bringing the return on investment window a lot closer effectively, right? So, Verizon, like I was saying, like they have towers, maybe not in New York on a Saturday afternoon, but across the country where the network is 80% empty. So the marginal cost of putting traffic on a network is literally zero to those guys. So if you're able to bring the capital forward with them, what you're able to do is create better incentives for like the Walmart and others that are using those networks, right? They're using those networks because they want to offer the telecom service to their consumers, and by basically bringing the return on window closer to the carriers, that just means at the end, data is cheaper for everybody. So that's what we're doing. We've been doing that for 5 years now commercially. And the idea is that we're going to decentralize it by bringing all our contract with the supply side, so our contract with the operators, which we're going to hand off to a third-party auditor just so that it can be on-chain and auditable. And then the first element of that is to expose the data trading platform, but primarily for financial institutions to be able to start trading wireless capacity as a real-world asset. And I was looking at your price and probably need to talk to you. But that's the idea, right? So today there's plenty of investors that are willing to trade that. They just don't have a digital instrument for it. And then from there, the idea is really to start opening it up to whoever has a need for wireless networks. So it could be like an Helium, where you can start monetizing their infrastructure by offloading, like they're doing today with some of the MNOs. But it's also like bringing the Comcast, who's reselling the Verizon, is bringing the Google, who's reselling the T-Mobile today, and just say, if you participate in this ecosystem, really what it means is you're probably going to get 30–40% better margin on your business. You don't have to change anything, right? So that's basically the hook for it. And then from there, we'll start getting the users. So like I was saying, if you get your telecom from Mercado Libre, for instance, today, your actual gigabytes are a representation of a token that no one knows we've launched on Solana to basically start testing the mechanics of it. And so eventually, now that you're creating demand on the network, you should get rewarded for using those networks. And this is how we think about you doing it in a three-stage program. Just kind of close on this, right? Again, for us, it was important to not necessarily like a very simple token design, where the idea was first and foremost to have very clear incentives for all the participants in the ecosystem above and beyond financial incentives. So here, everyone kind of wins, right? Like if you're on the demand side, you have better margin if you're Google. Telecommunication is cheaper if you're the user of Google. And if you're T-Mobile and Verizon on the other side, you just get your return on capital faster than you would do with, and basically rewarding all the investors and participants in that ecosystem for making that transition in the space. So I got, thank you. Hopefully not too long. So. Sir?
What are the telecoms' response to this? When you speak to them, what are the conversations like?
So it's hard to give a global response because kind of each market responds a little differently. Clearly, some market will see this as being very competitive because that competes directly with their offering. Generally, though, when you look at the amount of investment they're making into the network, first and foremost is to monetize, right? So if you look at a market like the US, where collectively there's been about like $300 billion of 5G upgrades, where no one is really buying 5G today, and you see a lot of competition from like the Comcast and others. They like that stuff because they monetize a 99% margin. You go to some other market, they're trying to protect their retail business. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate the time.